Well, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Mike Brenhaug here with Lead Squeezers. And today I'm going to share with you a little bit here before we jump into the CRM about dialing in your mindset to reach the end game. And the reason I like to share this, and if you've been on my calls, this one has probably been, I don't know, maybe about a year since I've shared this here, and there's a lot of new people on the call. So I thought it'd be valuable. We're all in sales and we all deal with people. We're all in life. We all go through challenges, right? And so mindset is so important when you think about it. We're all faced with challenges, and it's how you respond to those challenges that really make a difference. And so I have a couple tips that I want to share with you here. All right. So when you're thinking about your business, all right, and I know it says life insurance here, but it really doesn't matter if you're in real estate, financial advisor, but here are three things that are critically important to you. One, coaching, training, support, and developing a winning mindset. And notice I don't have the positive in there. You can be positive, you can be happy, joyful, all of that. But there's a big difference between a positive mindset and a winning mindset. A winning mindset says that, you know what, that person, when you have a winning mindset, they're able to persevere, you're able to overcome challenges, because there are going to be some challenges that might not be pleasant, and just being positive might not get you through that hurdle or that challenge. Does that make sense? And so you really need to develop that winning mindset, because there's going to be times things kind of suck. They're frustrating. I get it. I'm human too. But I'm determined to win, and I'm going to get through that, right? And the other is great lead availability, getting in front of more people. This is sales. And it doesn't matter where you get leads. The thing is, you want to have good lead flow. And you've heard me say it before, 3 to 5 lead sources is what you need, whether you're generating them on your own, whether it's networking, attending events, buying Facebook leads, internet leads, direct mail. You just have to have enough leads to get in front of enough people so you have enough opportunities to fill the pipeline. That's why having the CRM system is, a great place. And then, this one here is more specific to the Life and Good Comp Rate and platform, obviously, but that's any business, financial advisor, real estate. You want to have that, right? And something. But the most important part, and I'm going to jump to the next slide, is what are you feeding your mind to create that winning mindset? And these are kind of my standard books that I love. One is the 12-week year. If you have not read that, that is a great book. And I'm going to share a little snippet about that. The other is down here in the bottom right that you can see is The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And then my book, the WTF book, all of those, it's just a great collection. There's one other book that I like that it's not on here, and I should have it on here. And that is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And if you think about this, we're always talking to ourselves, even if it's not out loud, because some people might think you're crazy if you're talking out loud all the time to yourself. But you always have thoughts that are running through your head. And many of those thoughts are negative in nature, that create fear, that create doubt. And so you need to change that. So to create a winning mindset, you need to reprogram your mind, which is why having books like this are so important. What are you feeding your mind? Whatever you're feeding your mind is what's going to come out of it, right? So if it's always negative in nature, if you're doubting yourself, that strips your confidence away. And when your confidence is stripped away, that allows fear to set in. Then you become reluctant. And so if you've ever felt reluctant as a salesperson, afraid to pick up the phone is a perfect example. It's because there's an underlying fear. There shouldn't be any reason why anyone should be reluctant to pick up the phone. Here's what's going to happen when you pick up a phone. There's a couple options. Somebody's either going to hang up on you, they're going to tell you to go pound sand, or the other option, you're going to have a conversation with somebody where you're either going to book an appointment or have an opportunity to a second appointment, right? Those are pretty much the options. Now, some people, may swear at you a little bit, but guess what? That's not going to hurt you. It may hurt you mentally, which is why having a winning mindset is so important. But if you do nothing, if you don't pick up that phone, you're not going to get any of those opportunities, right? You won't have access to those opportunities. But if you're reluctant, it's because you have an underlying fear. these are great books. I would start with the 12-week year at the WTF and Shad Helmstetter, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. All right, so it's about what are you feeding your mind? So think about that. Think about it over the weekend. And if you're not feeding your mind, I highly recommend that you pick something up to change that, right? Now, I want to share a little snippet out of the 12-week year here. It is dry and windy here in Southern California. So my allergies are kicking up a bit and mouth is a little dry. So when you set your goals, getting from point A to point B, and this is something I talk about in the WTF book. Nothing is ever a straight line. It's never as simple as going from point A to point B, right? But you do have to have a roadmap. And along the way, what's going to happen is when you have your plan, your goals, and your actions, right, along the way, and as you see here, where you remove the barriers, you're going to encounter barriers. There's going to be roadblocks. Well, in order to get to point B, you have to get good at overcoming those barriers, the fears, the frustrations, the overwhelm, the whatever it may be, not being organized. All these are barriers. But oftentimes for many people, when they hit these barriers, that's where they bail out, they give up, right? But when you push through, that allows you, it's like a muscle you're exercising, right? To build a winning mindset and to continue to build that. That's where you have the self-talk, the gratitude. You've heard me talk about gratitude if you've been on the calls. Really big fan of, and I call it extreme gratitude. Being thankful for the little things changes your mindset, because otherwise what's happening, if you are not thankful, if you're not grateful for the little things, what's going on in your head? In fact, experts have said that we have about 60,000 random thoughts that go through our mind every day, and much of that is negative. All right. So gratitude is really important to help build that winning mindset. But then the other here is that you see is consistent action. Focusing on your plan, consistent action, being consistent is one of the most powerful things that you can do to building a winning mindset, because here's what happens when you're consistent in your efforts or your actions, you're going to start to get results. As you get results, guess what? You're going to feel better about yourself. It's going to improve your confidence and, things, and it goes towards building your winning mindset as well. So consistent action. So don't ignore that. And oftentimes people say, well, I don't have time to be, what do you mean you don't have time to be consistent? In order to be consistent, oftentimes you have to go back and you have to be organized. And this is where I connect all the dots. That's why having a CRM system is so important. I don't know how I would do everything that I'm able to do without a CRM system. And there are times, even though I have it, that I feel a little overwhelmed myself and disorganized, right? It's human nature. But anyways, it's not as clean as, like I said, just getting from point A to point B. It's more of a squiggly line, right? A windy road. But you have to keep this in mind. And I like these simple little visuals so that you can have an imprint or that image in your mind of, you need to do this. You need to have goals, know that you're going to have some barriers. All right. Everybody does. You're going to remove them, continue to focus on building your mindset and take consistent action, and you will get there. All right. It may not be in your time that you want, but you will get there if you don't give up. So one more thing I want to share with you, and this is from the 12-week year, and I absolutely love this. This is the emotional phases of success. Okay, so you can see here on the left side, emotional state. When people start something new, they're in this phase called uninformed optimism. We feel good about things. We don't know all the details. We don't know everything. We're just optimistic. And usually in sales, it's, they start a new gig and they're excited about the money potential, right? We're going to make some great money. And that's what creates the optimism, the excitement. But as things go along, you start learning a little more about this sales thing, right? A little more about this business, this industry that you're in. You have a few challenges and roadblocks along the way. And what happens is you turn your optimism into pessimism. And so now phase 2 is informed pessimism. See up here, we had uninformed because we didn't know anything, right? We're learning. But now it turns into informed pessimism. No-shows, cancellations, chargebacks, people hanging up on you. All those things start to happen. And it's like, man, I didn't know this. They didn't tell me that, right? And so what happens is you reach the bottom here, phase 3, the valley of despair. And along the way, what you're telling yourself, this is hard, this is difficult, it's a challenge. See what you're saying? In your mind, it is impossible for you to lie to yourself. So whatever you're telling yourself, it will manifest itself into truth, okay? And so think about that. So if you're telling yourself, this is difficult, this is a challenge, this is hard, these leads, I can't get a hold of anybody, how do I do this? It's just, you're not going to get there, all right? You're in the valley of despair. In my book, I talk about being sucked into the vortex, the WTF vortex. And the valley of despair and the WTF vortex are very similar. And that's at the point where you're thinking, WTF, what is going on in my life and business, right? Well, if you have a winning mindset, and the reason this is so important to build a winning mindset, you push through this. Now what happens is you push through, perseverance, all right? Just having a positive mindset isn't going to, you have to have a winning mindset. You push through that and you reach a phase here, phase 4, informed optimism. You're like, all right, now I know how this game is played. I can dial it in. I know I'm going to get some no-shows. I know I'm going to get some chargebacks, some cancellations, right? I know people are going to hang up on me. I get it, but I can live with that. You get through it and you have informed optimism. And now you can scale your business, right? And dial it in as far as how many leads do I need? How many appointments do I need to book? That type of thing, really dialing in your production, your ROI, all that good stuff, so you can reach success and fulfillment. So super, super powerful, just understanding this. I'd like to share this with you because the CRM is awesome. Everything we do is great. But if you don't understand this part of it and have the winning positive mindset, you're not going to get what you need to get out of any CRM system or any marketing or any leads. Does that make sense? So that's why I share that with you. So anyways, before we move and dive into the CRM, any questions on this at all? Any questions? Go ahead and drop it in the chat box if you have any questions. Happy to answer any questions on that. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to move on to the next. Let's dive into the CRM system here. Let me just close this out here. Give me 1 second, guys, finding my CRM system here. Okay. And let me reshare my screen because you probably can't see that right now. Okay, there we are. So we're back in business here. So you should be able to see the CRM screen. Let me know if you can't. Pull the chat box up here. Cool. All right. So here's the deal. We got the CRM system. This is my demo account. A couple things that I want to share with you. Let's go right into deals right here. And when you are working on your deals, what's super, super cool is these deal stages can be completely tailored for your business. All right. Now, this is, I'm going to go to the life insurance one that we have here. We have some deals here. And so first I want to share with you, how do you tailor this? Well, what you do, this little gearbox up top right corner there, click that. Here's your pipeline. And you can choose which pipeline you want to edit. You can add a stage and you can add a new pipeline. Let's go to our life insurance pipeline right here. You have a new lead come in, contact made, booked appointment, door knock, reschedule, think about it, application submitted, and policy issued. So So let's say that you wanted to modify this, and I'll give you some ideas here that folks do, is you want to add a stage because you have new leads, but maybe you wanted to separate your fresh new leads from your aged leads, for example, right? So you could create a, we'll say aged leads, create a new pipeline for aged leads, give it a color, and select the pipeline. We're going to put it on the life insurance and add stage. And it's adding the stage. Do a little refresh here. And then what you can do is let's come over here. Let me go to the right pipeline here. And did I add it to the right one? There, add stage. Sorry, guys. Leads, select the right pipeline, life insurance, boom, give it a color and add stage. Oh, so I did add it there. Why am I not seeing it? New lead, I am not seeing that on there. Oh, there it is. So one of the things when you're looking at pipelines is pipeline management. I'm going to back up here. I don't know why I'm not seeing it on there and refreshing. But when you look at your pipelines, one of the other things that I recommend, you can see that I have a lot of pipelines here. You don't want to get too crazy, right? I would recommend having a couple pipelines, but otherwise it becomes too much to manage. And if you're bouncing all over. So the reason I have the different pipelines here is to illustrate that we have a life insurance pipeline. It can be used for recruiting, can be used for real estate, financial services. But if you have all your business separated between too many different pipelines, what you miss out on having is the opportunity to have all your contacts in one visible place where you can effectively and efficiently manage, right? Because it's spread out over multiple pipelines. Now, it is a good idea, and I'll use this as an example, the life insurance pipeline versus recruiting, two different types of clients. But if you have life insurance and then you have and you have a final expense, for example, it's very similar. And you may be jumping from one contact where you're talking about a mortgage protection or a term policy to another prospect where you're talking about a final expense, for example, right? It makes sense to put them all on one life insurance. And I see a lot of folks that keep it separate. But again, you lose that opportunity to be effective and efficient because it's spread out. Does that make sense? So you want to have, you want to keep it to a minimum, pipelines is what I'm trying to say there. But as you're moving through the pipeline, moving your prospect through, organize the stages. There's some automation that can happen. So for example, I'm going to move this person over to door knock. When you hit the door knock, you can create a lead sheet. So how do we create that lead sheet? And that'll save you time. Well, we use what we call triggers. At the same time, if you move somebody over to booked appointment and you want to send a text message to that person, you could do that as well. Or you could send, or if they reschedule, you could send them a text message and or an email. All right. So we're going to go over to triggers and I'm going to show you how that's done here. So you can see I got quite a few sample triggers. I'm going to do this lead sheet first, right? So this is a lead sheet here. So when you move somebody over to that column from a contact to a door knock, and let's go into settings. And so what it says here, this booked appointment, that's all right, same thing. So in the pipeline, what pipeline, you get to choose the pipeline, we'll say the life insurance. And when it's moved to booked appointment, I'm going to move it to door knock. All right. So what it says, when you move that person on that pipeline to the door knock stage, what do you want to do? Well, let's do this. Let's send an email to yourself. All right. and you're going to put in there in the subject line lead sheet. So this becomes a lead sheet. So now you can print this lead sheet when you go into the field and you meet with them face to face, right? For door knocking. So you can put lead sheet. I put the prospect's name and last name using shortcode. So how do you get that in there? Hit this personalized button here. First name, right? And I'll pop it right in there. The last name. I'm going to delete that so we don't have too many in there. But last name and county. All right. So it'll pull in any of these custom fields also that you have. And the county, that way you can organize. You're going through your lead sheets like, okay, I'm going to be in this county, running appointments or door knocking. So what happens then, you can, on that email, you create the email template. And here's a sample: funeral, burial, and final expense benefit plan. Here's the lead sheet. Here, the secret word, it'll pull in the information from that contact or lead that you have, right? So name, date of birth, address, and then request assigned to state licensed agent. It'll pull in your information. So now when you go out into the field and either you're door knocking or you have an appointment, you have a nice clean lead sheet that looks more professional than typically what you would get from a lead vendor. All right. And it has your information on there, which can be extremely valuable when you're out there in the field. So that can happen automatic, sends you an email, and then all you have to do is print it. That's it, and you're ready to go. So this is a huge time saver for agents. And this idea came from another agent. They're like, man, I spend about 3 hours or 2 hours creating lead sheets for my appointments, for the week. Anything you do to help us automate it? So we came up with this solution here. You can change this image out on this template, put in a different image. So if you're doing mortgage protection and you want a mortgage protection, same concept. Okay. So that's a trigger. All kinds of things can happen with the trigger. So let me back out of this one here. And let's take a look at some other triggers. New calendar event. This is a good one. All right, let me go in here. Somebody books an appointment with you using our calendar widget that's in the system here. And you can say, all right, here's the calendar, what I want to have happen. Here's the Medicare calendar or whatever calendar. You can have multiple calendars. We'll say the Medicare enrollment. So when somebody books an appointment on that calendar, what do you want to have happen? Which action? Well, I want to create a new deal. So on my Medicare pipeline, I want to create a new deal so it lands on the new deal. So I know I have a new lead. All right. You can give it a default value if you want, or leave it blank, either way. Okay. And then select a pipeline and select a stage. It will automatically put a deal. You didn't have to enter that contact in. You didn't have to manually go into the CRM system and put them on that pipeline at that stage. Automatically happen. Now, another thing can happen here. New calendar, add action. Do you want to get a text message? You could say send an SMS, right? And what do you want to send it to the contact, or you want to send it to a number? So maybe you want to send it to yourself, right? You can just type in your number there. And what's the message? You can say new lead or new calendar appointment. And then you can put in the text message, just send it to yourself, because people like to get notified because you're not always in the CRM system, right? But if you get a new lead or somebody books an appointment, you want to be able to check it out, go in there and see the lead and maybe reach out to them, right? So how do you personalize it? We'll go to personalization here, and maybe it's first name. Let's do a space, enter the last name here. And you could even put the phone number. So now you have everything right there without even having to log into the Lead Squeezers, right? So, and that will send you a text. And so you have that. But you could add more. Maybe you want to add another action. Let's see what our options are here. I love these triggers. You could add a tag also. So tags allow you to filter your data. So since this was an appointment that was booked on the Medicare calendar, maybe what we want to do is add a Medicare tag. See if I have a Medicare in here. Yeah, Medicare. So we'll automatically add a tag to that contact. So now later down the road, when I want to go filter all my Medicare or all my final expense, I can easily filter them. Okay. And I mean, you could continue on. What else do you want to have happen? Do you want to add them to a campaign? Yeah, let's go ahead and add them. It's a new lead for Medicare. Now let's add it to a Medicare campaign. So all this is happening. Now it does take, as you can see, a couple minutes to set it up. One, you have to create your tags, got to create your pipeline, got to create your email follow-up campaign. But I'm going to add them to Medicare fax strip new lead. Okay. And all these things are happening. And this is the deal. Many people that use a CRM system never get to this level because most CRM companies are not going to teach you how to do this. They always want to drive you to, just pure videos to learn this. And they don't have a team available to help you set this up, right? This is why I do these calls. But I'm telling you, when you get into the details and you understand your business and you can automate this, it saves you a ton of time. You're going to be more efficient and more effective. Your data is going to be organized. You're going to be able to find it much easier. Does that make sense? So what have we done here? We've added a campaign. We've added the tag. I'm going to get notified when somebody books an appointment. I've got my calendar out there so somebody can book a Medicare appointment. And you can do this for final expense, mortgage protection. It really doesn't matter. Real estate, it doesn't matter. You can have multiple calendars, and those calendars can be embedded on your website, embedded on a landing page, or I'm going to show you some other things here. Let's see, what are some other options? Is this helpful for you guys? And is there anything that you would like to see? Go ahead and drop it in the chat box. I'm trying to think here what else we could add. So you can see the options that you have here. We've used added campaign. You could remove from a campaign. So you could have a series if you had somebody on a campaign. And then let's say you moved the stage, which we use that. So you moved them from new lead, for example, over to application submitted, where we would use remove from campaign. We would remove the new lead nurturing campaign, and we would start a new campaign that we already have, but we would add them to a new campaign automatically. That would be like a customer retention campaign. Okay. That's where you would use remove from campaign and then add a campaign. And all that happens automatically simply just by dragging and dropping. So let me go ahead and save, what we have now. So you want to come back up here, hit save. And let's see, did I not enter the phone number correctly? In that action, send a text. Just say that. All right, and let me go ahead and hit save here. Now, what am I doing here? Sorry, guys. So deal value, that's fine. Send a text. I'm not going to recreate those. When I refresh, it looks like I lost that to number. And you want to be mindful of this. Send a contact or send a number. All right. And test message. I'm not going to recreate that. You get it, and you saw what I did there. So there we go. So make sure you get the phone number in there, correctly. But now you have an action. There's no limit to the number of events that you can have, new calendar or triggers that you can have. Okay. Landing page notification. You have a new lead come into the system and you want to get a text message. You want an email. You want somebody else on your team to get an email. Do you want your appointment setter to get an email or a text message when you have a new lead come in? That's how these triggers can be used. All right. No show. Somebody no shows you and you drag them over to reschedule. You can set it up here where that person and all these we've built. Okay. So these are not standard in any CRM system. This is the Power BI what we do is helping you build these triggers to tailor it for your business. So here's one here. Send a text. So in pipeline, reschedule, and this is an easy one. You can send to the contact. This is where you want to send to the contact from number. It's going to come from your CRM system. And here it is. Hi, first name. Sorry, I missed you. We had an appointment today. I was at your house to provide you with the burial and final expense benefit plan options you requested. Call me or text me when you're available so I can squeeze you into my calendar. You can actually put in here your Calendly link or calendar widget link right there so they can schedule with you. All right. And then you could also send that same person an email. All right. The way I set this one up for this email is an email to go to my virtual assistant, right? It says reschedule. And here's today's date, the first name, last name. Please call to reschedule this prospect, right? So that automatically gets sent. So your virtual assistant would know to go ahead and reach out and reschedule this person. It's because no show. You're on top of it, right? And what did you do? You just simply dragged and dropped that person over there. So let me come back to deals. So right here, Terry Tannerson, move him over to reschedule. Boom, that trigger I just showed you, he would get an email or a text. My virtual assistant would get an email to reach out to Terry and reschedule it. You're done. You didn't have to call your virtual assistant. You didn't have to call Terry if you didn't want to, right? And with that, so let's take it a step further, because some of the features in the CRM system, remember we have the Ringless voicemail. So you can literally set it up where Terry could get a Ringless voicemail from you. You can leave him a voicemail saying, hey, sorry, I missed you. It's generic. Sorry, I missed you. I was here for our scheduled appointment. Please use the calendar link that I emailed you or texted you and reschedule with me. All right. You didn't have to do anything, but it takes time to set that up. You do it once, record it once, right? And send an email, text, Ringless voicemail. All right. Is all this helpful? Anything else you guys want to see? I know there's some things that I want to show on the phones here, the virtual phone system. By the way, I think I mentioned this last week. Here's the headset I use. I got this on Amazon. It's called TechNet for like 40 or 50 bucks. It's Bluetooth. So to my computer, and this is what I use when I'm dialing from the CRM system. It sounds good. I went through a couple of headsets to find one that sounded decent, right? And it's wireless, which is great. But when you call from the system here, all right, and let me pull my contact up. I'm in here. I'll call Andrew. So basically, what you do is you simply hit call. And you can see right here, you can have multiple virtual numbers. So you can choose, I'm going to call them from a Texas number, and you hit dial. All right. And it's calling Andrew. And then it will record the call automatically. I'm going to go ahead and hang up. So when you hang up the call, you're done. What it has done is recorded the call. Now, you didn't make connections with that person, but you can see here a call log. All right. Now, there's a couple reasons this is helpful. One, if you're a new agent, it will record the calls. I recommend that you share your calls with your upline, your mentor, whoever that is coaching and training you. If you're an experienced agent, you can share your call with some of your agents, share, this is how I'm doing it, right? To share this, it's real easy. Hit the right click, hit, let's see here. Well, this is not any audio because we didn't record it. But you hit the right click and basically you can copy the link, all right? And which is what I do, and you can share it with whoever. It's super, super easy. And that way they can listen to the call without having to be in your CRM system, okay? So that's pretty helpful there to be able to record the calls. But here's the other thing. I'm gonna come back to contacts. Now, when you look here, last call made. So if you're using this for your calls to call out, and you want to know last call made, it will track it. Obviously, I haven't called a lot from the demo system here, but you'll see here a date and time. When is the last time I called this guy? 128, 1034, right? Called this guy twice. All right. So that's helpful. If you're trying to determine how many times you've tried to reach somebody and you're not getting a hold of them, the system will automatically track that. So you don't have to use a little checkbox if, how many dials I've made, or track how many times, I've called this person. But come over here to reporting under the business reports. This is something that I really like also that will tell you. And this, if you're trying to track your business and see activity, consistent activity will lead to results. And the number of leads, if you don't have leads coming in, you're not going to have many opportunities, right? If calls aren't being made, you're not going to reach people. You're not going to have appointments booked. You're not going to make any sales. But when you can see this activity going out, emails, text, notes is a big one. Make notes on all of your leads, especially if you made contact with somebody. Each time you're going to learn a little more about that person, and you want to be able to capture that information. Maybe you had a conversation with them, who the beneficiary, who their wife or husband is, vice versa. Make those little notes, all right? Because you're not going to remember it all when you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of leads, right? And clients. Tasks completed, appointment set, deals closed. Look at that. This is helpful. And then you come down here. If you have a team of people, you can see the activity. So if you have somebody right here and there's no activity and they don't have any sales, well, you know why? Because they don't have any activity. That's why they don't have any sales, right? So if you have a team, I would encourage them to use the system to dial out, to record the calls, and to make the notes, really manage those prospects through the different stages of sales, right? So that's what and if you have a team, let's say you have somebody that's just Medicare, and then maybe you have somebody that focuses on final expense or general life, or here's a perfect example. If you're an agency, you might have somebody in-house that does Medicare, but they don't do property and casualty. You can have a property casualty pipeline, and you can even name that pipeline like Mike's Pipeline, Mike's Production, whatever. Give it a sales rep name if you wanted to. So there's many different things that you can do on the pipeline there. But let's go back to phone because I don't want to stop there. Under the settings here on the left-hand side, and I see I got a question here from Dixon. I'll get to that in just a second here. And let's scroll down to virtual numbers. All right. Well, first let's do call outcomes. Let's take a look at that because that's a newer feature that we plugged in with the new release. And that is you can have a disposition. So if you wanted to add wrong number, call back, not interested, or add one called, left. This is one I often note, left voicemail. Okay. That when you're calling from the system, you got a quick way to say, hey, I just left a voicemail. All right. But let's come back here and go to virtual number. And the virtual numbers that you have here, you can see I have forwarded here. So when somebody calls back on any of these virtual numbers that I have in the system that I dialed out on, they're going to get called back and I'm going to receive a call on my cell phone. All right. But maybe you want to answer it in the system. And so you don't want to have that number forwarded, right? Well, what you can do is delete that forwarding number or change it. Okay. And so now when they call back that number, it's going to dial into the system. So this is how it'll look. I'll dial the number here and share with you. Let me come here. Sorry. 949. So you can see what it looks like when somebody's calling you. 2284. And you'll see here, see incoming call. See? And then you can answer it right here. Just an answer. And it'll record it and it's all good. So that's what they're going to call back. But if you decided, you know what, I want to have this number forwarded to my cell, just plug whatever number. Or if you want to forward it to an office phone or somebody else's phone, you can do that. It's that easy, just like that. All right. And that number is now forwarded. So, you know, this is great if you have different locations, different numbers. I know a lot of folks do. And like your Texas one, if you wanted that to be forwarded to your Texas sales rep, for example, you can do that, or your Los Angeles, if somebody's calling in. So a lot of flexibility there. This is also right here when you're in the virtual numbers, the call recording, announcement, call forwarding, all this is where you can turn things on or off. Okay. So all right there under settings. So let's see. Any other questions here? This is the time. Okay, I want to share with you one other thing. We've covered this in the past, but we've been doing quite a bit of this week with some events coming up. Let's go to marketing. Let's go to our form builder. Okay. And you can see I have quite a few different forms. All right. Let me just choose Medicare. Let's see, which one do I want to choose? Special event. Let's choose that one. All right. So you can have a number of forms you can see that I have here. All right. These forms can be embedded on your website. They can be done as a landing page. Let's take a look at this one here. And all these fields that you have on the right-hand side, you can choose to add to the web form. And so if you create a custom field in the system, that'll show up here that is now available. Like, for example, fact finder link, for whatever reason, if you wanted to include that on the form, it's probably not one you would want to include, but you may want to have like child if you wanted to know their child name or something like that. So point is, you just drag and drop whatever field. And then once you have it laid out, if you want to move these around, maybe you want the last name first, you can do that. You can move these around. All right. And then hit save form. And it's really quick and easy just to build these forms. But then you want to come over here to settings, and under form settings, what do you want to have happen? So someone, you have this form out there on the internet, on your website, wherever it may be. And when somebody fills it out, what do you want to have happen? You got to think about that in advance. Well, in this particular one, let's say this final expense benefit plan, I want it to land on the life insurance pipeline as a new lead. Okay. And then I'm going to send them a thank you message after it gets submitted, or you could redirect them to a URL. So they submit it, you could send them to a completely different website. So here's a perfect example. Maybe you're trying to do more online sales and less interaction and touch with the client. They fill out this little form, it captures it. You could redirect them to your website where you have a life insurance or final expense quoting tool, okay, that's embedded on your website. And or maybe you have an introduction video or more information about final expense or Medicare, whatever it may be. You could automatically redirect them to a URL. But I'm going to use the thank you page as standard. Agency branding, this will take your logo that's in the system. So here you see Lead Squeezers. I'll turn that on, but it would take your logo and it would put it on the form. All right. This here says if you have an existing contact in the system, do you want to update it, right? And I turn that on. So if they're giving you new information, let's say you had a lead in there that maybe you didn't know about and you're working your same local area and that person fills out a form, it'll overwrite the new information with the old. So you want to update it and then hit save settings. Let's see here. The green field is required. Okay, what is going on here? Oh, I got to enter a thank you message. All right. Okay, so we've got that. So now that you have that, let's come to settings. And you can see I have a little landing page right here already that I built in. And this is something that you can build like in Canva or any graphic program. You can build a little image like this, and then you format the form style. So this is the width of the form. You'll see it here in a minute. It'll default to 600. I change it to 325 because 325 is appropriate for a mobile phone. Okay, width. The font size, get quote now, save style. We've got all that. Now that you have your form built and you've got it integrated, you know where it's going to land, all that good stuff, right? Now you can come to, how do you want to integrate it? Do you want a link? Do you want to embed it on your website? I'm just going to take the link here. And so you can select which one, take the link, copies it to your clipboard, and then you can come right up here and paste it. And this is the form right here in the middle. Okay, here's your information. Now, with that, the only disadvantage to these pages is we've done a lot with this, but they're pretty basic. They're not responsive. So depending on the format, if you pull it up on a cell phone, this is going to look great. Okay, on a desktop, this is what it looks like. But on a cell phone, you're not going to see this other background image. All you're going to see is this middle section here, the form itself, which is fine. All right. But if you're out doing events, how do you get this long link? Because you're not going to say, hey, go to https : and then app.leadsqueezers. You're not going to do that, right? So there's a couple different ways you can do it. And I like using this QR code generator. This is a really cool tool. So you can copy this link, paste it right here, and it creates a QR code. And then what you can do, and you guys can do this on your own, if you open up your phone, the camera on your phone, and this will take you there. You just scan it like so, and it pulls up that web form. How cool is that? Look at that. That is awesome. And so you can take this image now, and if you do a right click, save image, right, you can save it. And now you can take this image, you can add it to any printed piece. So if you're doing events out in the field, or if you want to add it to the back of a business card, to a name, whatever you want to add it to, right? You have a quick, easy way for somebody to get to this link while you're in the field. That's one option. The other option is you can take that same link and go to bit.ly. Okay, let's go to bit.ly. Bit.ly is a URL shortener. All right, it'll take that long URL and it will shorten it. Let's come over here, shorten your link, copy that, boom. That is much shorter than that long link. Now you can take this bit.ly link and you can see it goes to the same page, right? Which is kind of cool. Now it ends up here. Now there's even further things that you can do. And I've talked about this before. I'm not going to share with you today because we don't have time, but you can, if you have a URL like finalexpensebenefit.com, okay, you can go into wherever you purchase your URL from GoDaddy or Namecheap, whoever, and you can do what they call URL or domain forwarding, and you can forward that final expense benefit to this link right here. And you could even mask it. So what people would see, they wouldn't see that link. They would just say finalexpensebenefit.com, whatever the URL is. And if you need assistance with that, let us know. We can help you set that up. But there's so many options that you can do with this CRM system. And that's just doing that. Or you can embed it on your website. And if you embed it on your website, it would look something like this. I'll show you an example. Go to Retire Happy Guide. This form right here, if somebody fills this out, let me scroll up. Sorry. Somebody fills this form out, it goes directly into my Lead Squeezers, and they get an email They get to download the book, all that good stuff. I capture it right away. This is the Lead Squeezers web form right there. That's how it looks. If they schedule an appointment, here's our integrated calendar. This is the Lead Squeezer calendar, like a Calendly that's integrated into the website. We just added a link right here. Okay. You can do the same thing. Put it on your menu bar. I like a big red button where it's noticeable for people. You can also say schedule an appointment. And here's another example where I send them to a page on my website. And here's the calendar link embedded into the website. Okay. This is the calendar link on its own. All right. This is a landing page. And this is what it looks like embedded. So you have two different options with forms and with calendars. All right. Super, super cool. The deal is when you're doing online digital marketing, you have a website, you want to be able to capture people's information. But once you capture it, how are you going to respond? What do you do with it? And that's where the CRM is super powerful. You know, having the ability that when a new lead comes in here, that you get notified, that they automatically have an email or text communication going out. So you're starting to communicate with them right away. You're starting to build that relationship, use the emails, the text messages to educate them on who you are, what you do, and you're adding value. That's the power of it. And then as you're working them through your system, creating the triggers to automate that workflow so that you can be efficient and effective. And then also, you see over here, adding the deal value so the system can help you track your deals, track your production. You see it right there. I've got an F&G IUL. I've got this deal over here, $300. And I don't have a title on it, but I could give it a title. I could say this is a final expense. I could even say this is a, maybe I did a Moo Living Promise, right? So you could do that. $300, edit deals. So now when I come back to deals and I hover over this, it says right there, final expense, Moo Living Promise, right? So you can add that. Tom Petty wrote 100,000 GULE. So use the information. So anyways, we're almost at the top of the hour here. Any other questions that you guys may have? Anything that I haven't, I mean, there's so much more. I could continue on for hours on this, but is there something that specifically that you came up with this week that you're either struggling with or need to know about the CRM system that I can help you out? Just drop it in the chat box. I guess you guys are good. I did my job. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Oh, can you show me the QR code? Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely, Emily. In fact, I'm going to do this. It's a free program. I'm going to drop this in the chat box. So there's the QR code generator. So what you want to do, and this works with any link, take either a calendar link, the web form link, and you simply grab that link. Let me delete it here. Let's go here, like this one here. I'll take this one and go to your QR code generator, hit Control V for paste. As soon as you do that, it creates this QR code. And then right click the QR code to save image and save it. And name that QR code. So what it is, it could be, you know, FD insurance event QR code, right? That way you have it, save it as your image. And then here's the other thing. See this here? Do not do this. See where it says convert to dynamic? Do not do that. So what happens, what we discovered, this is a static QR code that will remain the same. It'll never change. The dynamic ones, they expire. So if you're using it on printed material and then 90 days later, 60 days later it expires, you may not know that. So we just learned that a couple of weeks ago. But I use the static, just like this. All right. Does that make sense, Emily? Y'all good? So, okay, perfect. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If there's anything else, you guys know where to find me. All right. And hope you guys have an awesome weekend. So, and go from there. Yes, John. Yep. You're welcome, John. All right. You guys have a great weekend, and see you next week. All right. Take care.